Hey, this is Hardline, Destructoid's video game news podcast. I'm Jordan DeVore, and we are back from break. We had a pretty good break going there, but news is more or less back in full force, and today I've got Hamza Aziz with me.
I'm
And
back.
Conrad Zimmerman.
Hello.
And maybe Steven Hansen, who just now joined the call and is probably not set up to talk.
Maybe indeed.
Oh my
Maybe
gosh.
in fact.
That was perfect timing. We are doing this, Steven, so strap in.
Always.
Always be strapped in. So the major thing I think that's happened this week is Sony announced PlayStation Now, its cloud gaming service, I guess you'd call it, and this is what it bought Gaikai for. I'm really hopeful for this. We don't have a whole lot of details about it right now. We know that there will be a beta this month in the U.S. The full launch is planned for this summer in the U.S. And so essentially this will let you stream PS1, PS2, PS3 games to your PS4, your PS3, your Vita, tablets, smartphones, eventually even televisions, which seems pretty cool, going off that whole smart TV trend that I quite like. But we don't really know anything about what kind of account you'll need, if this will be tied into PlayStation Plus. There's a lot of unanswered questions.
I think I saw something this morning also saying that you'll be able to stream PS4 games eventually to your Vita and your TV through your service.
That would make sense, yeah.
As far as I think this will be separate from PlayStation Plus because there's a lot of money they can make from this and just wrapping up in PS Plus. Well, it's either that or just have a new tier of PS Plus where it'll be like, I don't know, double the price, but you get all the benefits of Plus, plus streaming and whatever else.
I can see them possibly offering a discount on this subscription if you are a Plus member. That I can see that being a possible course of action too. The thing is that's interesting about it is that they're presenting backwards compatibility as a service, which is fascinating because it's something that historically people make a lot of noise about wanting, and yet then when they look at the numbers, they say, oh, it's less than 5% of people are actually taking advantage of backwards compatibility as a feature, so it's not financially wise for them to implement it. So rather than that, they can offer an entirely different service, profit off of that 5%, and have a huge library of content for their fairly recently launched system that people can dig through and discover if they approach it right. There's a lot of possibility for Sony to succeed.
Have they even gotten the PS4 Vita Remote Play totally working? Is that a thing you can already use completely now, or what?
Yeah, I've heard people using it. I haven't used it myself. I think I used it once during the setup, just to see what it was all about, and then I never cared to do it again. I'm really curious to see how it works, when you're away from your house and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, so Dale's at CES right now. That's why he's not here for this recording, and he's admittedly been getting shit, and it's kind of funny. So he played it at CES, I think The Last of Us, a few other games, and he was like, oh, it works really well, but the setup is right here in CES. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of bandwidth you need and how it works just for the average consumer. That's going to be the main thing for me, is how much artifacting there is, because that stuff drives me crazy.
Well, it's like, have they fixed the problems that OnLive had that led to OnLive dying and nobody ever wanting to use it? It's what can they do with this? Can they actually bring good quality? And it's interesting that they're starting their focus on PS3 games, because you almost figure PS1 and PS2 games might be easier because they're less graphically intense.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're only focusing on PS3 because those games still look good, and they want to market it well. They don't want to show off a really shitty polygon version of Tekken to people. Hey, you can play this really old, crappy game again.
But they can show off Bushido Blade, and everyone would buy it again.
There is a point to that. The people who are going to be crazy about this type of service probably would want some of those old PS2 classics.
Or they're going to be pissed off because they bought all of this shit once, and now they're going to be expected to buy it again on the new hardware, which I don't see an issue with. And hopefully they offer a subscription-based format to where you can just access the library and play whatever you want. I think that's the smart move.
I really like that you can rent games also. There's a bunch of PS3 like exclusives I missed because I didn't have a PS3 for the longest time. So like the idea of just going back and playing these games finally.
Yeah, I like the rental option too, because there's certainly a lot of games from the last generation that I wouldn't mind having the opportunity to play through, but I certainly have no need to have them in my library. And I keep getting a lot of that stuff from PlayStation Plus as it is, which is all well and good, but it would be nice to, if I wake up one day and say, I want to play Army of Two for some reason.
Said no one ever?
Yeah, exactly. I can do that.
After a night of too much tequila and bad decisions, chase it with another bad decision.
That's right. We might as well keep the train going.
That is a good point, though, because I feel like I bought a few games on demand on Xbox 360, and it's sort of that same mentality where I just really want to play this. I don't want to leave the house to get the game. But the issue there is it takes so long to download, whereas here, ideally, you're instantly playing it. And that with the rental, the choice for rentals could be pretty powerful. I could see myself taking part in that.
I think that the rental makes the most sense, even more so perhaps than the subscription, just because you already have now where you can download games and already start playing them immediately. So that's not necessarily like I want to play this, but I don't want to wait 10 hours for it to download, because you have the background downloads, which works pretty well so far I've seen. But yeah, the fact that you can be like, okay, well, I want to play this and I don't need it, so I'll just play it for a little bit, so I'm going to rent it and stream it, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, there's a concept right there. You rent these games and then you stream it and you make your money back by streaming the game you just rented.
You're blowing my mind. Someone's going to do that, I know. Actually, a lot of people will do that, and maybe one will make money from it.
Yeah, basically.
We also, other things happening at CES, so the Steam machines are in full effect right now. What was the deal with that? I don't want to call it a press conference, but Gabe Newell did something. We have a picture of him. It looks like he has a crown because of the light, and it's this really cool-looking room he's in. I wasn't around for that, Hamza. What was the deal with that? Was it like a 5-minute long?
It was like 7 minutes at best. It was just Valve being Valve, basically. It's Gabe Newell came out. He's like, "Yo, we got all these PC things for Steam Machine. If you want to learn more about these things, go talk to the fuckers who made them. Peace out. I'm Gabe Newell. I'm a billionaire."
That really went. They gave Valve PR we've crossed 7 million concurrent users, blah blah blah. Here are the boxes. They unveiled all the boxes, and they're like, if you want to learn more, he literally said, if you want to learn more, go talk to the manufacturers. And then it was over. But that picture is amazing, and that's courtesy of our own Dale North, so you got an awesome shot.
Yeah, but otherwise, they showed off 14 new Steam machines, which are basically PCs.
Some of them are ugly-ass PCs.
One of them looks like a router. One of them looks like a mini fridge.
One of them costs $6,000.
Which one is the mini fridge? I think I know what one you mean. Yeah,
I forget, but
I'm looking at them now.
I like the one that's a router, basically. The one from
Zotac or something like that. Yeah.
So far, the iBuyPower Steam machine that we knew about a month ago is still, I think, the cheapest, best looking, and probably the most reasonable option.
Yeah, I love that thread when we posted all the specs and information, and people were just getting in the comments, either saying this one looks like this, or I could make that PC for half the price if I just made it myself.
That's always the way, though, is you can always make it cheaper yourself if you commit time to looking for deals and that sort of thing. I mean, and not everyone wants to do that. But I will say, I guess I am more confused about Steam machines now than I was even a month ago, because there's 14 different ones, right? In addition to Valve's, that's too many, I think. They can't all succeed here. Someone's gonna fail.
even Valve isn't actually like they're still thinking about making their own internally. They still haven't really fully committed to it. So in the meantime, we're just relying on these 14 or so partners. And I just don't understand how this will be marketed to basically the audience they want, because the hardcore audience, like we're saying, like they'll just make their own PC, or they already have their own PC that's comparable, and just get Steam OS for free. So I just really don't understand how they're going to market this when they don't really market in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it was Valve making the hardware and being like, well, we don't have to sell that much of this hardware because we have all the money and that's okay, but some people are going to buy it, like that would make sense. But roping in all these different partners, it's like someone's going to get screwed. Someone's Steam machine's not going to get bought, right? Unless there's some other deal going on.
I mean, it's been a long time since I've been in a retail store and really looked at what they offer. But when I think of Best Buy or any of these places, the first thing I always think of is like the partners that aren't on board. So like Dell or HP or those massive PC manufacturers. I don't see iBuyPower, I don't see Zotac, I don't see any of those typically in major retailers like that. So how are people going to know about this?
I have no clue. I'm really curious to see where this goes.
Yeah,
we've had like a months and months of Steam Machine Whirlwind. Maybe that's enough for some amount of people that would be interested to pick them up.
I think the first generation of these machines are probably going to be bought as hobby devices by people who are really, really into gaming. And so these 14 or however many devices that are going to be coming out in this first run, yeah, there's going to be some casualties, and it's going to be a lot of people just sort of testing the waters to see if they can get a product going in this line. But I think in probably 5 to 10 years, when the next console generation that we're experiencing now, the PlayStation 4s, the Xbox Ones, I think once they're on the way out, the Steam box will be the only alternative for a lot of people. I think it's going to take some time to market and promote the idea and get it into the mainstream. But if we have 2 or 3 Steam boxes that do really, really well, the Dells and the HPs and so forth are going to take notice, and they're going to want to build a Steam box of their own. And that's how it's going to wind up in those stores in the second generation of these products.
I mean, going off of what Steven was saying, I do think this makes sense for Valve as a company because it seems like their end goal here is to just get around Windows using SteamOS, and this is a way to get SteamOS in people's houses.
Well, it makes sense for Valve in the same way that Android makes sense for Google. I mean, it's an opportunity for them to be at the center of a software alternative that could be very, very popular and well supported. But it is an OS, and those are, I mean, there's a reason there's only 2 major players in that space for PCs.
Yeah.
And Valve, they let these 14 companies duke it out over who's going to be successful with the hardware. And they don't have to do anything about it.
It's very low risk for them in that regard.
I feel like they could do just about anything. It would be low risk for them, given how much damn money they have in a stockpile somewhere. They've got to have a Scrooge McDuck vault.
They have 65 million registered users. I mean, they just need to appeal to those 65 million people, and they're selling out the market.
I hope Sega makes a Dr. Robotnik's mean Steam machine.
You say that line every time you're on. I think you have said that line every show.
Yeah, possibly, because we've talked about Steam boxes.
We have.
Like
I don't know why we always talk about machines. Another cool thing, well, I don't know if cool is the right word, interesting, Razer has this new modular PC. I think it's more proof of concept than anything else at this point. It's called Project Christine, which just makes me think of Stephen King. But it's like this weird server rack looking thing where you kind of plug in little modules that are fully enclosed in plastic. It looks so weird.
If
if
Alien was made today, that's what their computers would look like in the movie. Like,
probably.
I think it's really cool looking and a really cool concept. Of course, it's Razer, and a proof of concept. So, price-wise, it's probably going to be untenable. But
I think it's kind of a desktop eyesore. I think it's pretty unattractive, but I think what's interesting about it is that, I mean, this is basically a customizable PC for people who are afraid to open their PCs. Like, and who buys a high-end PC and is afraid to open it up is what I want to know. Like, are you going to spend $2,500, $3,000 on a PC and not tweak it? And not open up the case and clean it, for God's sake? But that's what this says to me. This is, just a simple rack mount solution that you just plug stuff in, and it's always seemed to me to be kind of the future of computer consuming products, and it never went that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always expected that this stuff would all be interchangeable, because plug and play, starting in, the late 90s, started making everything so easy for people to just plug in. You didn't have to deal with firmware on your own as much, and the computers became so much easier to upgrade. I just thought that this was eventually going to happen anyway, and it hadn't.
Well, it's like the Steam box in that it's an overly expensive thing that someone who's into games
And that's the thing.
can buy.
It's too cost prohibitive, I think, for this to catch on as an idea at this point. We've made computers disposable as opposed to making computer components disposable.
No, I mean, you pave the way for someone who's not Razer to start doing this, possibly. It'd be nice to see.
Yeah, but I don't know that there's a way you can do it that isn't ugly. So...
Mm-hmm.
Although that modular cell phone, the phone block or whatever,
That won't
look
work.
pretty nice, even though it's not going to work. I'm sure you can find a way to make it look okay.
I mean, the way you can make it look okay is to put this thing in a bigger box.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
That's a good point. Well, that's the thing. Like, I sort of have this weird fantasy of, like, building it into my closet, and I
be
just
cool.
go in and swap shit out, but
Like
nobody has
Zerorec?
to know I
Yeah,
have
you
this
you,
thing.
you move the clothes on the hanger, and it's just
Dude.
sitting behind the clothes like
I could
a
pretend
fuse
that I'm in
box.
some sci-fi movie,
Yeah, we need-
where I'm hacking a system every time I want to put in my other drive.
You're like hacking Hal. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay, forget this
Hacking.
computer. We could have a smart house where it speaks to you and does.
They already
chores.
made that movie, Jordan.
I know, but they made the movie. They never made it the reality.
It's also
so.
a running gag on Eureka, that sci-fi channel series, which was really pretty good, actually. Yeah. Yeah, running gag, a talking house, it does everything for you. Yeah, we'll get there.
Simpsons
We'll get
did it.
there. I was looking for, the other day, I was like, I bet there's some really good pantry applications out there, for managing your pantry. And
Isn't
you
that
know
for
what?
everything?
You would be fucking astounded how good they are. Like, in my head, I'm visualizing something where, like, you bring your groceries home and you scan the barcodes of everything you bought, and it tracks all that, and that shit's out there. But then there's the stuff that's like, hey, we figured out how often you use flour now. So now, hey, you're running out of flour, aren't you? And it's gonna know, and it scares the shit out of me.
Wow.
There's already a lot of ways you can have a connected house to
Yeah.
your cell phone from.
But can you have
door
Pierce
locking,
Brosnan
everything.
talking to you about your house, telling you
Probably.
you got a
I mean,
flower?
you could probably get a voice module that would do that.
I mean, for crying
I
out
mean,
loud, you can get Snoop
desperate.
Dogg to give you GPS instructions.
Yeah. He's not doing anything else, so why wouldn't he lend his voice to that? Yeah.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan's got nothing but time.
He probably has a house narrated by himself because
Just take
Narcissism.
all the excerpts from the Treehouse of Horror where Pierce Brosnan voices the house, and just use that as your house.
I forgot about that. Wow. That brings me
You have
back.
the weirdest memory, dude.
Besides those things we just talked about for CES, the only other thing I really caught on was 4K, 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 4K.
I cut onto that as well.
You did that dumbass post. Who was Sony Electronics CEO or something?
Yeah.
Made
He
some
was
really
talking
lame joke.
about 4Ks and 4K TVs and 4K cameras and 4K Netflixes, and he was like, Sony is at the forefront of 4K, and nobody said anything. And I was like, are you guys listening? No one.
I was happy that
one
no one
noticed.
said anything. But that's the thing is, like, 4K seems so far off at this point. Like, just look at the cost. I will say Vizio apparently has a $1,000 TV, which is approaching being reasonable, but
that's CES for you, isn't it? I mean,
I suppose.
You
It's
know,
just expensive, unrealistic, not consumer ready.
I mean, things we want that we can't buy,
Crap.
yeah.
well, 4 or 5 years ago, it was OLED TVs. And we were like, oh my god, those things are so expensive. And, then I was browsing Sears for some ungodly reason. And I was like, oh wow, this is a 22-inch OLED TV for like $200. That's reasonable.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's going to happen. I don't know that the media is ready for it.
Nope.
Like, there's not entertainment media to justify 4K, and we had this problem with high definition, and we're only now, with our home gaming consoles and so forth, getting resolutions in our entertainment of 1080p, and so now we're going to go 2 and 4K TVs.
Well,
No.
People bought HD setups and spent tons of money basically to watch football. So
It's-
when
yeah,
the
always
NFL
sports, yep.
when the NFL picks up 4K broadcasting, then maybe we'll start having something.
there will be inroads that will have to be made, and it's going to take time. But to be talking about 4K right now, particularly in a gaming context, seems unrealistic. We're way ahead, talking ahead of where we're going to be.
I really like that $2,000 camcorder though.
Yeah,
That was nice.
that's surprising, actually. Really surprising.
There's so many alternatives in filming now. I mean, down to those red cameras that start at like 14,000 that are just absolutely incredible, and you could sit there and make a Hollywood production with them.
And people have made Hollywood productions with them, yeah.
Goddamn red cameras. So, quick aside, there was this Namco Bandai showcase last year or the year before we went to it. Yeah, it was me and you, Steven.
Yeah, when you spilled your drink on me.
Yeah, that happened. But there was these dudes there with Red 5 camera setups, and they were like filming an interview, talking with the people behind the Naruto game or One Piece, one of the anime Namco games.
It was Naruto, I think.
And it just felt so unnecessary using the red on
Video game
just,
journalism.
yeah, super high-end journalism for Naruto. Yeah, that was it. That was my side.
Well, thank you for that contribution to the show.
Fucking welcome. God, appreciate you more.
I do appreciate you, Mr. CEO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But CES in general, it's just been mostly 4K wearables, like Razer.
That's
has
true,
a new
wearable
wristband,
tech has been a thing.
and then cars.
I must have missed the cars.
There's a
Wiles
lot
were
of- there's a
taking
lot of
pictures
car
of all the
talk.
cars.
There's a lot of car talk with like connected cars and everything, and like I went on a rant on this on my Facebook yesterday because I was just so nothing has come out of CES. The biggest thing I feel like is the
That 4K joke.
no, shut up.
Yeah, just stop.
The
Stop.
Verge had this video piece on how the future Ford lineup will be interconnected with Domino's Pizza.
I did see that. Yeah, that's right. Oh my gosh.
It's like, why? Why are you guys doing a piece on this? Why is this a news item? Why is this a thing in general? Why is CES talking about cars and pizza?
Because CES is just a masturbatory thing for tech journalism, which is like such a also useless thing, kind of. Like, God, CES is kind of awful.
I love CES. I'm sorry.
Tell us why.
As someone who loves gadgets and loves weird crap, and there's a grungy underbelly to CES. Just as a show, it's fun to visit because there is just weird crap and ideas that you never would have considered, and a lot of them you look at and you're like, that's not a good idea. Why would you do that? But there's a lot of other, really creative, interesting things, and it gives inspiration to what might come in the following year. But like the cars thing is fine. I mean, really, it makes total sense. How many other places are we going to stick computers and connected experiences at this point? We're running out.
Fridges.
The car was just, the car was like an escape zone, right? You can't do a lot of that crap in the car without, dying while you drive.
It hasn't stopped a lot of people.
No, it hasn't. But now we're going to let those people live and do it, and it's going to be legal, and they're going to have ways for them to interact, and you're going to be doing all voice command connect shit, tweeting your Facebooks, and all from the comfort of your wheel.
Shouldn't we not be helping them, not facilitating this?
I don't disagree. I think we need safe zones from technology. I'm a little bit terrified of them lifting the restrictions on airplanes. Not because, because, I mean, yes, every time I fly somewhere, it's a terrible inconvenience for me that I can't use that stuff at that time. But for God's sake, there needs to be some times in my life when I can't use that stuff, where I'm separated from it. Like,
go on vacation, go in Thailand.
No, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. I can't disconnect from it entirely. It's just not. So
I have to force myself to disconnect, and when I do, it feels great, actually. But then, you get back into the rhythm of things, and you just feel like the world's
and when you get
you.
back, the pile is so tall.
Yep.
It's not even worth it. It's not worth it.
I was just, God, when I got back from Thailand, I just felt miserable, just with everything I had to do. I still kind of feel like that. I'm almost caught up. But anyways, let's talk about some video games.
Oh.
We can if you want. We can talk about Alien.
If you want.
I mean, I wanted to talk about the tennis racket a smart tennis racket they had at CES, but yeah.
That was
There's a smart toothbrush at CES.
There's a smart probably everything. And I did want that.
There's a smart everything because people are dumb.
Smart house.
I saw a potty training tool with an iPad dock. They did it on Colbert Report, but I'm assuming they're showing it at CES this week.
I like how Intel is pushing those Kinect-like cameras with new laptops this year, and The Verge had like an early demo video of someone was like playing Portal with their hand, like they were Iron Man, but then the thing was like you put your hand in the screen, and then your hand, like a representation of your hand, comes up on the screen, and it was just a gold cobra vomiting gold coins into your hand with like realistic physics depending where your fingers are. I feel like that's a perfect metaphor for CES. Just a gold cobra vomiting gold coins into your hand.
Yes.
Cool.
Alien Isolation. That is surprisingly sounding pretty good. Coming after Colonial Marines. I mean, anything would sound probably better than Colonial Marines. Not to just shit on it, but that's what people do.
A lot of the past Alien games, really.
It's true. That franchise has not been treated well by video games, generally speaking. But yeah, this is it's in development at Creative Assembly, the Total War people, and that sounds weird, but it looks pretty good. It's a first-person game, and it seems to be more survival horror than anything else. Like, I don't even know that you have weapons in it, or if they've talked about that yet.
So, Brett Mekadonsky, one of our Destructoid's editors, he went to check out Alien's Isolation, and I actually asked him about the whole weapon thing. Sega and Creative, they weren't really saying much about if there would be weapons or anything, but there is some kind of crafting system in place where you'll be able to find items and create, if anything, distraction items.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but otherwise, from what it looks like, they're just trying to. What were some of the games? Outlast.
Outlast. That's the one with the what is it? Insane Asylum, and you've got your smartphone.
The camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of playing to that, where everything's against you. You're just trying to survive while this one alien is trying to hunt you down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's on pace to be what an Alien game should be.
Oh, yeah.
One gigantic 9-foot-tall alien that is very imposing and very deadly, and you have to survive it. So
it's I definitely. I mean, I'm not the biggest Alien fan, but like when I played Aliens Colonial Marines and Alien vs. Predator and all that stuff, it just felt wrong being able to kill these aliens and predators really easily with just shitty guns or whatever. It made it feel like they're just cannon fodder or whatever. Whereas here, like, the aliens are supposed to be like this.
You don't want to fight an alien unless you have to. Is the way I always look at it. There was that. Did WayForward do that DS game? I never did play it, but that always.
Oh yeah, Aliens Infestation.
Something like that.
I've heard excellent things about that.
Exactly.
Like everything else on a handheld, I haven't played it.
Yeah. And the interesting thing to me is that people generally seem to be liking the direction that they've had for this game so far. I wasn't sure if, like, we got to look at Brett's preview before it went up and everything like that, but I wasn't sure how people would take it. They seem to be optimistic, actually. Just goes to show.
It's a different developer.
It is.
It sounds like
it sounds not shit.
So. And we're so gullible.
Yeah.
We would really like a good Aliens game, and they string us along with enough promises, and it winds up being terrible. We'll still line up for the next one. They know it. It's fine. But I hope it's good. It looks like it's at least got the possibility of being good, like the last one had the possibility of being good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least in this case, I like how Creative and Sega waited for a significant part of the game to be playable, whereas what was it, Gearbox? They showed us what they hoped to achieve.
That's right.
Which was just full of lies, so many lies. But at least Sega, they were like, yeah, we didn't want to pull the same shit that happened last time.
Pull a Gearbox, yeah.
Yeah, pull a Gearbox.
I remember the Aliens Colonial Marines cover story on Game Informer. Was Alien the cover story, I assume, of Game Informer?
This week?
No, it was Evolve.
Yeah, which has, ironically, the same... the alien whatever from Evolve looks just like the alien from Aliens Isolation. Like, they're doing the same pose and everything. But yeah, that's another game that was announced right at the same time, which probably if I was either company, I'd be pissed that these reveals happen back to back. It's like too much confusion there. But yeah, Evolve is a new game from the guys who made Left 4 Dead.
Mm-hmm. What's the company? Turtle something?
Turtle Rock?
Turtle Rock, yeah. Not Turtle Beach. That's the headphone company.
That's the headphones.
I only skimmed what the game was about. So isn't it a multiplayer game where everyone's their own type of alien, and one alien somehow gets bigger the longer, or more powerful the longer they survive? That's what I remember seeing anyway. I don't know if that's accurate.
I didn't see it yet. So
wow. Okay. Don't bring up games you aren't familiar with.
I do know there's going to be a single player. A lot of people were saying that there's only going to be multiplayer, but Game Informer also mentioned that there will be a single player for fun.
Okay.
And it's going to have like a 4 versus 1 mode or something. That's one of the biggest deals about it. But yeah, I guess, I mean, people are instantly like implying that's just Left 4 Dead with aliens, but
even if that
supposed to be more than that.
If that were the case, I'd still be down because I always liked Left 4 Dead in theory, but I'm done with zombies, so that sounds decent to me, actually.
I think everyone's done with zombies. No, actually, that's a lie because DayZ has almost made $1 million. It's not even released yet.
I have yet to see footage of that with a zombie, though. Are there even zombies in? I'm genuinely asking. I don't know.
They're a MacGuffin. There's no no zombies.
I'm hearing that there are zombies, but there's like no AI to them, so no one bothers with the zombies at the moment.
Okay.
And that's why I think
I'm not crazy then.
I think that's why everyone's fucking with each other. And all these videos that are going viral.
It's like a Twilight Zone episode where they just tell you it's the end of the world and there's zombies everywhere, so everyone freaks out and is awful to each other.
Humanity.
I'm hoping that DayZ gets shit together with the zombie aspect pretty sooner than later, because I want to start seeing people working together and freaking out together while defending against zombies. Because right now they're meaningless.
I did love that. What was it, Gentleman? Burglar, robber, or whatever. Yeah. A guy holds up a new player, and the guy's like, "Stick up your hands." The guy's like, "I don't know how to do it. What do I do?" Press the F2 key. Oh, okay. And then he goes into his inventory, steals the can opener or something valuable, and then gives him some other items. Like, okay, bye. It was just the most like it's the best interaction that could have been.
The best part about that whole thing, the guy who got robbed, after the robber was done, the guy who got robbed was like, "Can I join you guys, please?"
I missed that.
Yeah, it was at the very end. The guy who robbed him was like, "Nah, dude, I feel bad. I just robbed you. Get the fuck out of here." That was great. That's basically this year's Minecraft, by the way. We're gonna see a lot of videos like that.
Yeah.
Whereas where Minecraft was becoming a big thing, every fucking site, including us, was posting all these Minecraft things. Look at this crazy Minecraft roller coaster. Look at this Minecraft Death Star.
I think we have literally posted more than one Minecraft roller coaster video.
I almost
There
did
was
again.
a Beetlejuice one. Oh, it was so good. I
That
had to
was
go
good,
and
though.
watch Beetlejuice after watching it, and now I'm gonna have to watch it again tonight. Thanks.
You're welcome.
That's the thing, though, is that sounds so dumb, Minecraft roller coaster, and yet it was so great. And I'm sure there will be DayZ videos that we just feel we have to share.
Yeah, well, you know, at the time, it's like, whoa, someone figured out how to make a roller coaster. You know, like, that wasn't, you know, in Notch's original design, he never intended for that, probably. He just wanted to make a railroad, and people were making these crazy things, because people were just using their imagination to do whatever.
Because we haven't had a roller coaster tycoon game in ages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also, I mean, you know, kids love it, so no one... It's still selling like crazy.
Kids love roller coasters. Catch on EA. You need to start putting roller coasters in your games.
No, I don't want a SimCity debacle again with roller coaster. I'll just play the old one. I wonder if kids are playing DayZ though. Maybe.
I don't think anyone under 13 even knows there's anything other than Minecraft out there. They see a computer, they see a phone, they see a console. They're like, oh, the Minecraft playing machine. That's
Right.
how they see the world right now.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that, and so that I think Minecraft scratches an itch there that DayZ really never could, because there's a lot more freedom in Minecraft. DayZ, you're kind of its world seems a little more limited in terms of the concepts that you can apply to it, whereas Minecraft you can seemingly build anything. I have yet to see come up with an idea that someone wouldn't be able to represent physically in Minecraft. I saw a 3D printer the other day.
That was insane.
Like, what the hell?
That shouldn't be allowed.
I can't even get a 3D printer in the real world. This dude made one in Minecraft.
The camera zooms out, and it's just this collection of I don't even know what. It's a giant box of wires, and oh man. But if you want us to write a story about your video, make a roller coaster in DayZ, and we will be right on that. We have someone in chat asking about Rust, which I was going to bring up anyway. I haven't played that, but that's one of those that I'm actually more interested in playing Rust than I am DayZ.
All I know about Rust is there's dongs.
Yeah, so you start out, I think everyone is a naked man.
Yeah.
I think you're all males. and I mean, they have fully rendered dongs. It's legit.
Are they floppy dongs?
They do. I think they have physics, yeah.
And I think they're circumcised.
I think
they're
so.
all
I think
circumcised.
so.
As God intended.
Average penile length? Are we talking well endowed?
It seemed average.
Yeah, it
to
seemed
me.
fairly normal. It
Yeah.
didn't,
Okay.
It wasn't.
I didn't look at it and feel an overwhelming sense of shame, just a standard one.
So beyond the dongs,
I honestly
And
don't
there's
know.
wood. There's wood in Rust.
get-
I've seen people get wood.
Oh, right, that's the thing. You have to make shelters to prevent yourself from freezing in the cold. I don't know.
Freezing your dong off, yeah.
Freezing your dong off.
So you can also get clothes because we have a video where guys are chasing a naked man with a gun and he's just freaking out. So that seems like another one of these games, like DayZ.
Sweaters.
Yeah, it seems like another one of those games where you can get powerful and just terrorize other players. And I don't know if that's the case, but that's kind of interesting to me.
I'm glad to see that. I don't know why I feel like this, but I'm glad to see that game is picking up steam and people are really getting interested in it. Simply because the guy who created it's the guy who created Gary's Mod, and Gary's Mod has brought so much happiness to the internet.
Yeah, and that dude could probably never do another game in his life and not work another day in his life, and he'd be set.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see he's still doing games.
It might be that I'm
Thanks for the dongs, Gary.
It might be that I'm like a wimp and terrified of people, but all the like survival games of that ilk that I'm like looking forward to are all like not multiplayer aspects ones, like The Long Dark, which is that really cool survival sim where you're like in the icy north, and then So You Are Being Hunted with the gentleman robots hunting you. Yeah.
I was talking to Conrad about that game. I haven't played it, but I was talking to him about that yesterday, and that kind of caught my eye. They having British robots. I think they're British anyway.
Yeah.
Kind of saying funny lines and chasing you. That looked interesting. But okay, so that's the thing is with a lot of these games, I don't really want to play them until they're nearly complete because most of these are early access.
Yeah, no, it's a beta right now. I backed it on Kickstarter, and I guess I technically have a beta thing, but I have no interest until it's like finished and I can just play it.
So we'll see. I know I've started to see comments on Dtoid of people who are growing wary of the amount of Steam early access titles, and I mean there's money to be made.
It isn't stopping. I mean early access is blowing up. I mean Wasteland put their early access at $60 to not upset Kickstarter people. I mean early access is making tons and tons of money. And it's helping developers, because they get all that money and then they can keep making the game instead of trying to rush it out under deadline and it be fucked up.
It's like a pre-order system.
It's definitely a double-edged sword because it helps the developers, but at the same time, like, the average person is not going to understand why their game is broken. They just heard about this cool thing, they're going to get it, and like, wait, why isn't this working? Why isn't there much life to it? And really, this goes back to Minecraft.
That's just an issue of communication. That's just a communication problem, and they're going to have to make sure that it's absolutely freaking clear that things are still in progress. I think any early access game should probably have a reminder prompt that pops up when you launch it in Steam, just like, hey, don't forget.
This is a couple.
Thanks for the money, but
you're going to button through most prompts.
I feel
That's fine.
Developers
at least you give them the opportunity to read it.
Developers should like start doing some kind of incentive for the people who are being these early adopters. Like, I mean, the people who are getting DayZ, for instance, they're really helping shape how the game is created and everything.
But isn't that incentive enough?
Also, I'm pretty sure they're getting it cheaper.
Are they getting it cheaper?
In a lot of circumstances. There are a few exceptions to that, though. Nuclear Throne launched on early access, and I think I don't know that they've yet announced what the actual price of Nuclear Throne is going to be, but when they put it into early access, they stated that they were charging somewhere between $1 and $3 more to participate in the early access version of the game. And it's because, it actually does cost them more to put out multiple builds and update an early access version of the game over time. I mean, it's not like you just click save and upload the game. You have to compile it. It takes time and resources to do that stuff. And so, while it is incredibly beneficial to the developer to get this access, to get that money, to get the to have the capability and the access to an audience that's actively playing the game, and let's not mistake that as replacing your QA with players, because that's not happening either. I don't think. I think anybody that was going to do QA on the game is still going to do QA on their game to make sure in a professional aspect, as opposed to just relying on the people playing it to find all the bugs and problems. So it's not like that, but it does cost them time, energy, and resources to put out multiple builds to update early access stuff, and if you're going to make an early access game work, you have to engage that community effectively and get that information and talk to them and hang out with them and get their ideas. And that costs time and money and resources too. So it's not, I don't think it's that insane to say, hey, spend a little bit more and consider your effect on this game to be what you're paying for. I think that's a perfectly acceptable reason to buy in for some people. Maybe not me, but...
Right. That's the thing with this is I don't disapprove of it. It's just that me personally, I'm going to play a game once and more or less once and I want it to be essentially completed when I play it. So, yeah.
I agree. I play so many games at this point that the thought of going back to play something that wasn't mind-blowingly good simply because it was unfinished, it seems out of the question. I'd much rather play a game that's within a few weeks of release to just do it once and get it over with.
Mm-hmm.
God, that sounds horrible.
Where's your sense of whimsy and discovery? And
let's get this terrible gaming
gone.
experience over with.
Just rip the Band-Aid off. I'm done with that one. Throw it in the pile.
Oh, fucking entertainment. Yeah. What else?
We were going to talk about our most wanted games of 2014.
Gravity Rush 2. Woo! Yeah! Woo! Gravity Rush!
I'm glad you...
No one has a Vita. Look, 2 years ago, my game of the year was Gravity Rush, Vita game. This past year, Tearaway, Vita game. Gravity Rush 2 coming out this year. Probably going to be my game of the year. So I like the Vita, even though there's not a lot of games and no one else wants to buy one. But
remember that Marcus campaign with PSP? It was that little black kid who said...
You need to bring Marcus back for the Vita?
No, you are going to be the new Marcus. Sony's going to hire you for PS Vita at this rate.
They should. They need to do something, man.
Hamza, your game was Titanfall, which has come up again in the news. Was it last night, this morning, whatever?
It was late last night. Basically, Vincent Zampella, one of the co-founders of Respawn Entertainment, or just Respawn, whatever.
You had it right.
He answered someone's Twitter inquiry about how many people Titanfall will hold or host. I can't talk anymore. And the max player count is 12, and he said that they went with 12 because it's the best balancing option as far as what everyone can do in the game. Because there's a bunch of AI characters. You have your mechs that can also be AI controlled, and I think the audience is kind of divided, at least on Destructoid, where half the people are like, "This is bullshit. This is supposed to be next gen. Why is it 11 to 12?" And the other half is like, "This is great. This will be balanced, and people will actually work together, and it won't be hectic as fuck."
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, is what the response has been, because as soon as I heard that, I was like, "That's amazing. That's good." Like with online gaming last generation, like, and just boasting like, now we have 56 player maps. I was never, any game that had like multiple tiers of how many people. I always enjoyed like the 4-on-4, the 8-on-8. When you get to like 32 on 32, I was relatively uninterested.
Well, you don't really get a chance to know who you're killing.
That's true.
A 56-player game.
Yeah.
When I played Titanfall at E3 and then again at PAX, I knew there was 12 people playing within the same area, but when I was playing the matches, like I wasn't sure who was AI, who was additional people, because for a while there I was just assuming that there was more people from Respawn, say at the offices in LA or whatever, playing online with us. But so when I reflect on that, like it doesn't feel like a bad decision to just go with 12. There's so much happening.
Yeah,
it
felt like you were always engaging in some action, right? I mean, that was my takeaway. I haven't played the game, but
yeah, there's always something happening, and like the AI, I'm sure it's gonna get better when the game gets released. But like the AI is pretty decent for what it was. Like I was getting killed by other players, by AI, and I was killing a bunch of AI and other players. And yeah, I think it's a really good, solid balance, keeping it at 12.
My game was Yarn Yoshi because we had about 400 people participate in this thing, and that was the only thing I could think of that looked pretty good. I don't even know if it's out in 2014. It might not be. But
I haven't even talked about that game in any of the last since last year, since E3.
Yeah, I looked it up, and there's a single video that debuted during a Nintendo Direct, I think it was. It's like 30 seconds of footage, if that. That's all we have. And yet, I really do like the game.
I didn't get my submission in time, so it didn't publish. I didn't even send it to anybody, I don't think, ultimately. But Deception 4 is the game that I'm most and it's just because the Deception series from Tecmo, which is a game where you're a seemingly powerless person in a castle who can manipulate traps to kill invaders. It's a brilliant concept, but it's this game that there's no justification for it continuing to be made, or at the very least be localized to North America and Europe. Like, it's such a the writing is so not localized well in any installment in the game. It's vague and confusing and weird, and but the play itself of setting traps up in rooms and having enemies chase you in them and you pulling off some ridiculous chain of attacks that, it's just spikes coming out of the walls, and they land on a bear trap, and now we're going to drop a rock on their head, and now we're going to fling them onto an electrified chair.
That sounds great.
It's fucking fun.
I was literally thinking of this series last night. I didn't realize there was a Deception 4, but I was remembering back to you talking about it in this same passionate manner like 2 years ago at E3, and I was like, I still haven't played those games, even though Conrad made me really want to play them. I should play them.
Yeah, there's the new one should be coming out this year in 2014, Deception 4. I'm very, very excited for that. And every few years, I get to have a pleasant surprise that someone at Tecmo still thinks that this is a thing worth making. So, yeah, very, very excited for Deception 4. What else?
Well, I mean, that was what we liked. I don't care about anyone else.
I mean,
I'm not kidding.
There were games. Persona 5 is coming, but probably only in Japan at the end of the year, if it makes it at the end of the year. The Witness is one of my most anticipated next-gen-y things.
Mm-hmm.
Transistor, the new game from the Bastion guys, is
so good.
Gorgeous.
Okay,
and
I'll
amazing.
grant you that one. Yeah.
Witcher 3 is going to be cool.
Mm-hmm. That'll blow some minds, I think.
Like a good video game.
I feel like a lot of the games that I'm really looking forward to the most are indie PC or just indie in general. Like Transistor, like you're saying.
Oh shit! I should have done Super Time Force. No one else did that.
Oh my god!
Damn
really?
it!
That's surprising.
That's what I think I meant to do that and forgot, because that is probably my most anticipated for real.
I'm glad that's coming out on the Xbox One now, because I felt like it being stuck on a 360 was just gonna die.
I feel bad for any game that's on XBLA and only releasing on 360 at this rate, because despite the fact that we all still have 360s, people seem to be ignoring
it's not people,
that.
it's just Microsoft.
Crazy.
They're like, oh, we're done with Xbox 360.
Everyone seems to be ignoring it. Yeah.
It's a bummer.
That will be a good game, though.
Yeah.
I think that'll do it for this episode. I mean, I have nothing else of value to say, so you can follow us on Twitter. I am at DtoidJordan.
I'm at Conrad Zimmerman.
I am at Detoid Steven.
And I am at CTZ. This was Hardline, episode 5? 6?
Sure.
It's been so long I can't remember if it was 4 or 5.
We're good at podcasts.
So if you are tuning in live, this will be. You can also check out the YouTube upload of this on youtube.com/dtoid. That'll go up later this week. We will also have an audio-only version on iTunes. You can just search Google for Destructoid Hardline. You'll find that, and that'll do it for us this week. Thanks for listening.